Hey guys, let's look at some chess games. So, in the Chess Bootcamp Club on chess.com, we had somebody started a "What's your best game of the month?" thread, and a bunch of people have submitted their games of the month, their own personal favourite games, and I've just pulled up three. Now these are three games I've never looked at, and they're all roughly around the 1,000 kind of rating mark. So we'll just go through them, and what I recommend that you do is, particularly if you're around the same kind of area or rating level as the players, you could keep pausing and just think, okay, what would I play in this situation? And then I'm going to say what I would play as someone a bit high rated. So I really do think that is an excellent way for all of us to improve our game, which is to play alongside somebody who's rated a few hundred points higher, which is exactly kind of the way that I do lessons. So we'll start off. So we've got Terry Phalanges. Phalanges is the plural of phalanx, I guess. I know that the bones of your fingers and toes are phalanges. Interesting. Okay, I'm playing someone called James Rettich. They're both in the 700 to 800, and we have an E4 and an E5. So if Terry is following this channel, no, we have the Bishop's game, the Bishop's opening. Okay, this is interesting. I was expecting a Vienna, but no. Now, the Bishop's opening can be very tricky as well. And we have Knight there. Now here, Knight C3 would actually transpose into a Vienna semi-copycat, right? Okay, just depends what Black does now. If Black now plays the mirror image Bishop C5, no. Okay, so we have, this is the semi-copycat. That's what I call it anyway. And there's a couple of approaches here. D3 is perfectly good. F4 is also good. No, I think F4 is the move I play. D3 is, I think, the computer's choice. Okay, now we have the bishop out. So the big question is this now a possibility? Don't know, it's not, because the knight takes the queen. Okay, fair enough. Okay, and now F4. Okay, so both the moves I suggested. Interesting, this. Transposing into the Vienna from that. Okay. Now this is a bit like you see with the French when you're playing with the black pieces, that you offer, in the French case it's C5, it's the mirror image. Here I think Black blinked, because what this now allows White to do is to recapture with the bishop for free. Okay, so from this situation, okay, this is what you have to do. Okay, let's say you've got the black pieces, right? If I capture the pawn, what's going to happen? Well, White gets to recapture and develop for free. So we go from a situation with these pawns here to neither of these pawns, because they've both been captured, and this bishop is out here. Okay, so what's better? What's better from Black's perspective, to have pawns here and a bishop still at home, or no pawns and a bishop fully developed? Okay. So here, and the other thing that you have to do, right, is to start to consider, okay, well, what if I let my opponent take me? Well, okay, if I do nothing, because beginners hate tension. This is well known, right? This is tension. Pieces can take each other. Oh no, something must be done. I can't handle the stress, you know? By the way, I'm wearing orange glasses because I've been carrying a headache for 24 hours or so, having not had any beer or alcohol of any kind since the new year. Not because of any resolution, I just accidentally drank a whole bottle of bourbon on New Year's Eve and didn't feel too clever, and so I just don't feel like it. But yeah, I think I must be detoxing or something, because I've got this headache going on. Don't normally get sick, I don't normally get headaches at all. Anyway, so that explains the orange glasses, because the light it just softens the light on me, poor old eyes. Now, if I allow, say you're Black, say if I allow White to take me, okay, I recapture the knight. So I've just put my knight into the centre. These 4 squares are the centre. Okay, that's a good thing. And then my knight's, look, attacking that bishop. So that's better as an outcome, to allow white to take you than for you to take white. So I'm hoping bishop takes. There you go. And now black's got no pawns in the centre at all. He's only got pieces doing anything. They've both got 3 pieces out. h6 does not much at all, but does slightly weaken the king side if black has ideas about castling there. I think knight f3 here. Knight f3 all day long, I think. I don't see any case for knight e2. Yeah, it's going to hamper the queen a little bit, but the queen can slide forward to d1. Yeah, knight f3. Black plays castles. Okay. So now, definitely like queen d2. Even got ideas about sacrificing this bishop for 2 pawns, get the queen in there. In comes the knight. You know, that might work. You could also castle short as well and get the rook on the semi-open f-file. That's perfectly fine. What would I do? One other idea as well, which I've probably played quite a few times, is to reroute the knight round here as well, so that you've got 2 knights that can play a part in the attack. You want to think about castling, so it's either going to be castle straight away now or queen d2. That's what I would play. Queen d2, excellent. That's not much of a threat. I mean, here, again, it depends which side you want to castle, but, you know, there's nothing wrong with a3 here, and just kick the bishop back. And if the bishop goes back there, you could kick it again if you want to, or simply castle anyway. A3's okay. But you always have to say, okay, well, if the bishop just slides back and maintains the pin, that's then challenging me to say, well, how serious are you about getting rid of this bishop? Are you serious enough to move 2 pawns? But in this instance, I think it's kind of worth it. I think that's okay. And I also think that castling short is fine as well, so I would probably play a3. Okay, we have castles long. Interesting. Yeah, very. Now this is interesting because now that this knight's developed, you see, sometimes you can move your knight sideways and partner up with this knight, which would then release this. Because right now, this knight's defended only by the queen and the pawn, right? So if the queen moves away and bishop takes, pawn is the only one that can recapture, and that really opens things up around the king. Okay. So we have an issue here. One option might be drop the queen back, slide the bishop in. Okay, a bit like Indiana Jones snatching the thing and putting a bag of sand there as quick as he can. So, what does black do? Black pushes a pawn. I would expect this light square bishop to be heading out this way. Oh, wow. Okay, Terry has taken the bull by the horns and gone for the bishop sack. Now, queen takes? Oh yeah, absolutely. The problem though is we don't have an instant checkmate because the queen can't go to this square because it's protected by the knight. So what's your plan? I'm interested in this. Okay, so we have now sacked a bishop for 2 pawns but opened up the king. Now at this point you really want these pawns either flying up the board or out of the way. And also this bishop is hampered by these light squared pawns and can't get in on the action. So what does black do now? Attacks the queen, kinda. Also, has to be noted, is threatening this. However, that knight is just moved away from the defense of this. So I would probably just drop the queen back here, allow the knight to come in if he wants to gobble up a rook, and then play knight to there, and then I think that is an unstoppable mate. So that's what I would do. Oh! That's nice. Didn't see that. This pawn is pinned by the bishop. right? The pawn can't take. So that comes with check, and there's nothing that can block. My golly gosh. Right, king can't go there. There's only one move. King has to go in the corner, yeah? And now, now the queen has to move because the pawn's no longer pinned. So the queen's going to come here probably with check. Push the king back. Then the knight in. Okay, so queen hit, yeah. Check, king comes back. Then the knight comes in, yes. So in fact, there's nothing really gained by this sequence of moves. Here, 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 other than the queen's just moved back a square. Okay, now it's ours. Now the knight comes in, and black has to play the knight back, yeah? Oh no, that's just a blunder, surely. Because now queen h7 is mate. Now the knight had to come back, yeah. Okay. Yeah, the knight had to come back to this square. That's the only option. Because then queen can't go there again. Okay, but you know, for 7-8-1, that was a very, very nice attacking game. And I can see why you submitted it for Game of the Month. Okay. Game number 2, we are now around the 1000 to 1100. This one was a favourite of Paul Rees. And he says this is the game that got him to 1100. And I notice he hasn't played another rapid game since, because he don't want to lose his 1100. Okay, which I get. Okay, playing chess George 0, 1078. Let's go. Right, where are we going? We are going king's pawn opening. Okay, and now Italian. Okay, 3 knights out. This does beg this, you know, potential with knight or bishop coming in, kind of fried liver invitation. Okay, but instead we have a quiet d3, right? Something more aggressive than this is maybe to play c3 and then d4. And if pawn takes, and you get the center, right? But d3 is perfectly fine. Okay, it releases the dark square bishop at least, doesn't it? Okay, bishop comes out. Maybe castles here is an option, but also this move, this bishop e3, like we see in the London very often, you know, and say, okay, I'm attacking your bishop, you're going to have to do something. And if takes, f takes, and then again, when you castle, like we saw with the Vienna, get this semi-open f-file. Okay, but we do nothing now, right? And now c3. But now you see if we push this pawn, we've taken 2 turns to move that pawn 2 squares, whereas it could have done it in 1 jump. But, okay, black now castles. White castles. h6. See, I'm usually very happy when I see these quiet moves like this for some reason. It's just growing on me. You really, you know, unless it's a very clear threat and a real reason to prevent anyone from coming to that square. And I don't see that threat right now. I mean, bishop out here, maybe, but still, I kind of like bishop e3, yeah? And if takes, gives you 4 pawns on these 3 files, and then you push, takes, and you've got a choice then, takes, you know, or takes. And really build up this nice kind of hard, nutty center. Now what's that for? a4. Ah, I think I see what you're doing. Okay, we're preparing b4, bishop retreats here, trump the bishop. Yeah? So the bishop will have to come back this away. Or, black has to play a6 now to create an escape. Okay, plays a5. Excellent, that's fine. Okay, now the other knight starts to come in, but where's that knight heading? It's either heading here, or white's got ideas of moving this rook, but I'd keep that rook on the f-file, I think. Yeah, I still prefer this idea. This doesn't really work. He's got 3 pieces attacking that, hasn't he? So think maybe knight here is the idea. Black plays d6. Okay, and now we do have the possibility, like I was saying, about rerouting this knight round in front of the king. Very, very solid, but also because the opponent's king is on the same side of the board, creates attacking opportunities as well. It's always nice to have knights side by side. They cover a lot of squares. Okay, we have a pin. The knight's starting to reroute. No, I don't get that at all. What on earth was the point of that move? Moving the knight away from the king, away from the defense of the king, away from the opponent's king, to... Is he wanting to come here and attack this bishop? Well, I mean, the bishop can just drop back. No, that move has no redeeming qualities at all from what I can tell. Okay, and the knight now completes its journey. So this knight's been on a nice little trip from here to here to here. And white is now looking super, super solid and has a decent amount of control. Also notice this pawn here is pinned. Good to bear in mind. And that now the knight comes around here for reasons best known. And yeah, bishop a2. So, oh, actually, that drops this. No, it doesn't. Let's say, thought it might drop that pawn, but it doesn't. Queen defends. So, I don't get this at all. Black has just invested 2 moves into making his knight significantly worse. Plonker. Right, now queen comes out. Okay. Right, so we can't play this because of the h6 move. I might be tempted to kick the bishop back. The bishop can't go there because knight takes. So the bishop would have to come all the way back here. That's definitely worth considering. Still this is an idea. So white plays knight f5. That's a curious move. So I don't really know what he's attacking there, because he can't come in here. It's defended by knight and queen. He's not going to take that pawn. He's not going to go here. What's he doing? I mean, he was on a perfectly good square there before. It's just, this is just the wandering knight, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4 moves. I don't get it. I'd probably played h3 there. Okay. And we have takes, and now queen takes pawn, and black's just up a pawn. That's really bizarre. Because if you look at this, right? Look at this knight. Watch this guy here. Okay? This guy on b1, right? We have one move. White to move. That's one move. Moves out the way. That's the second move in this knight's journey. Knight makes another move. Knight makes another move. Bishop runs away. Right, that's like 4 moves, and then it gives up its life. And a pawn at the same time. Why? But we shall see. Okay, queen takes, now what? I think this bishop is a good piece on black's side of things. Both of these knights are rubbish. Absolute garbage. They're doing nothing at all. They've got no prospects whatsoever. This pawn is still pinned here. That's to be remembered. So now d4. Attack 3 times, defended 3 times. Takes. Bishop moves, hits the rook. Okay, now, important question. A lot of people would instinctively just play rook f1, but you must also consider all of your options, particularly seeing as this file is wide open now. Okay, I think I would be tempted to keep it on the open file, and white does. Excellent. Okay, so now we've got ideas that maybe at some point of doubling up the other rook behind it. We'll see what we get. Okay, rook comes out here. Now if white takes, black recaptures, then black controls the file. Okay, bishop b1 now hits the queen. which is nice. Queen retreats. Yeah. I think that in the last few moves, white has lost the significant advantage that he had. But it's still anyone's game, particularly looking at the sorry state of these two knights here. But we need to be thinking about an attack. Okay, queen comes forward. Just generally improving. Also clearing the back rank. So we probably want to get these bishops involved somehow. This guy is probably going to end up going back there, looking at the king. And oh! That's what the queen was doing. Oh, I even missed that. Take a rook, checkmate, bang. Excellent. Nice finish, Paul. Nice finish. I didn't even spot that checkmate was on. And then boom, all done. Okay, well, good rescue there. Yeah. But I do think that big knight journey here, then just to trade it off for no real benefit that I could see, was... And there's no... We weren't building up to that at this point, were we? I mean, how does this help? It's rid of... I mean, if you play it back, you know, we're getting rid of our own pawn that was in the way on the light squared diagonal. I mean, could it be that Paul had a plan to checkmate here? But thought, okay, well, if I'm going to do that, I need my bishop on here, and I want to get rid of these pawns. So takes, there's one gone. Push, okay, takes, there, attack the queen. I would guess that he probably saw it at this point and thought, oh, hang on. Okay, I'm going to hit the queen, and now I'm going to play that. Okay, checkmate threat, boom, yeah. So, good finish, good result in the end. Right, let's look at game number 3. Now we are in the 1100. So we've got Denmoff 77 against Timoni, who's 1168. So 100 points higher rated. And we have a Caro. Weirdo advanced variation. Okay. This is going to confuse Caro players. Okay. Now E6. This is really weird. Okay, E6, D4. So we've grabbed some space. We're a bit overextended with that pawn, arguably, but we'll see what happens. F4 is even an idea to back it up, but then you've got to get a move on and get your king to safety. Bishop, that's not a very good move, just surely C3. Okay, comes with tempo. Okay, and now we have one imprisoned bishop, right? Who's stuck on that half of the board and can't go anywhere or do nothing. Okay, knight develops, queen out now, saying, all right, Mr. Bishop, you are tied down to babysitting this pawn. But then still we have queen b3 as an option to counter that. Or just leave the bishop where it is and focus on this bishop. Okay, that's what we do, bishop d3. And now black tries to counter in the middle of the board. This pawn that's already moved once, by the way. Okay, so if this pawn's allowed to take... Oh no, this pawn's pinned, so we can't do anything with that. Now if we castle now, and pawn takes, we can take that with the pawn, it's fine. Okay, so castles, perfect. Resolve the issue of the pinned pawn. Okay, knight comes out, knight comes out. This knight's heading for the central square, I should think. Pawn takes. Oh, counterattack the queen. Interesting. So it could have... Oh, yeah. So here... Well spotted. So now that the knights come out, we've now got 3 attackers on that pawn and only 2 defenders. So this could have been an idea, but we don't have time to do that because he's taken. Now we attack the queen. queen comes here. Can we hit the queen again? Yes, we can. b4. Surely. Was that a mistake by black? b4. Has to win material. Brilliant. So where else could that queen have gone? I mean, the queen has got, can't go there, can't go there. So the queen's really got three options, right? One of which is a dark square, the other two of which lose the queen. So if the queen goes there or there, knight d6 with check, and the queen falls. So this really was kind of forced, but walked straight into b4. Wow. Okay. And that's 2 pawns down now for a bishop. Well, actually 3 pawns down for a bishop. Because we lost that first pawn was overwhelmed, right? Okay, so black now has a pawn majority on this side of the board, and also an extra pawn in the middle, right? Black doesn't have a dark square bishop. Also, black's light square bishop is still not taking part in the proceedings. So, okay, that's a nice move. Pins the knight on the queen. It'd be even better if we can find a way to attack the knight, so something like here or here should win. You also have to be careful that the pinned piece can't move with check or with another serious attack, but right now it can't because it's in the wrong place. Okay, so defending the knight makes sense. Now then, I would be thinking here about getting the queen off the back rank is the next phase, next step of development. So that might be an option, but takes, not really, it's defended twice. Queen e2 is also an option that I would consider. Okay, oh, I like this. Okay, I see what you're doing here. Okay, so we've got preparing a discovered attack against the queen, again with knight d6 check. That could be really good. Does black notice? Black is 1168. Should notice that threat. Should be able to figure that out. Yep, sidesteps the queen. Now we can still do the check. And that also gives us actually a double attack on this bishop here, right? Because the knight's defended by the pawn. So the knight can come in with check. Okay. Now, if the king goes, for example, here, we've then got rook takes c8. And if rook takes, we win the bishop. If the king comes here and the knight's here, we can take on there with a fork. So this is now starting to look tactically very interesting. Okay. Ooh! Alternatively, forget about all of that and instead fork the rook and the queen outright. Queen moves down there, capturing the pawn, threatening the bishop. Bishop takes knight? Yeah, bishop takes knight. Pawn takes bishop, knight takes rook, queen takes knight. We're actually up 1 at this point. Okay. And black hasn't castled. That pawn's hanging. This pawn is undefended. Everything else is kind of defended. So, I don't know what. And also black has 2 pairs of double pawns, and these ones are isolated. So, tricky situation here. Now, I would possibly think about, so in fact, if black wants to castle, he's going to have to put his knight there or there because of this advanced e5 pawn. So he's 2 moves away from castling. One idea could just be something like queen c2, okay, with lining up queen and bishop against there, threatening to capture the pawn, particularly if black castles, because then his king will be there, so the bishop capture comes with check, and black doesn't have time to play g6 and trap the bishop. So that's a thought. You probably would just want to make sure this pawn is dealt with as well, so even like rook c1 to b1 would be fine. Not sure about this as an idea. Pinning that pawn just feels a bit slow. Okay, so we grab the free pawn. Makes perfect sense. Why not? Knight now develops. Okay. And now something like queen here means black can't castle because they walk straight into checkmate. Okay, but you're planning. I think this is too slow. Right? He's got ideas of a royal fork, but it simply allows black to castle on the next turn. Black castles. Rook here. Okay, so we're kind of attacking this pawn, but I think I'd prefer something like this to be more forcing. Force the pawn forward, maybe. I don't know, but we shall see. Queen attacks knight. I love this square for that knight. That knight can just sit there happily all day. What the huh? Okay. What have I missed here? Bishop sacrifice. King takes. Queen there. King goes back. Rook across. Is that an unstoppable mating pattern? It's a bit like a Greek gift, but using the rook here to support the queen rather than the knight. Takes, yes, queen there, yes, back. Rook h4, yes. It's not unstoppable though, because black can play the f-pawn. Black pushes f-pawn. Okay, so the queen can come here or here with check. Is this move going to come in? You could play that move now. No, hang on. Say queen here, king here, knight here, king's in check, can't go there or there, or there or there. Now, so I think queen h7 would be mate on the next move. Queen h8 would not. Okay, so I think white could have forced mate here by moving the queen to h7 first, but basically now if I don't know. Still, what can black do? What can black do from this situation to prevent mate on here or here? I honestly don't know now. No, I think it's unstoppable anyway, so yeah. Queen there, checkmate. Yeah. Excellent, excellent. Very much enjoyed that. Okay, so I mean, you know, really not all that much to comment on really with these games, because they, you know, they are excellent games that went swimmingly, and that was a lovely attack at the end. Really enjoyed that one very much indeed. So yeah, thank you guys for sharing your games with the club and you know, allowing me to feature them as well. Hope that you at home have enjoyed watching these too and got as much fun out of it as I have. Thanks for watching and see you later.